Showtime.
Bro, Chris Paul has better handles than AI.
Go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Brand new episode here of the Young Bulls podcast, man. Hope you guys had an awesome and safe Memorial Day weekend. It's your boy Dinari here. It was a weekend filled with rest and more rest and more rest. Hope you guys had some good food. You guys hung out with your family, friends, everything like that. You guys had a solid weekend. We were supposed to do 2 more episodes last week, but honestly, they just didn't get out. Honestly, I have really nothing for it. We did that one episode, I believe, like the Monday of last week or something like that. But I was gonna try to stretch 2 out, but we couldn't do it. But I promise you that we will get to at least 2 more episodes a week for the rest of the summer. But again, it's your boy Dinari here. You guys don't remember who I am. We got a lot to get through today. Obviously, in the world of basketball, we had the conference finals going on. Obviously, because of when we did our episode last week, we missed out on, 2 great games for the Knicks Pacers series. We missed out on the beginning of the Thunder Timberwolves series, and really just as early as last night, another win for Oklahoma City, man, as they take a 3-1 lead heading back to Oklahoma City for Game 5, I believe, on Wednesday. I'm going to get to that in a second. I'm going to talk about the Knicks Pacers game tonight, how the Pacers pulled the New York Knicks Game 1, and they choked that lead away. So instead of it being 3-0, it's now 2-1. We'll talk about who needs to show up for the Knicks tonight as far as, Cat or Brunson, who needs to have the bigger game. And we need to talk about Tom Thibodeau and his rotations, because many people have questioned why he only plays 9 people. But we'll get to that in a few. But we're going to start off today's episode by talking about Oklahoma City and Minnesota, man. Oklahoma City and Minnesota. The Thunder have never lost, and since this playoffs has started, the Thunder have not lost 2 games back-to-back. When they're coming off of a loss, they always win. They have not lost 2 games back-to-back, and it continues to be the case. They take care of business last night, 128-126 against Minnesota. SGA, MVP of the league, 40 points. Jalen Williams, J-Dub, who's been off and on this whole playoffs, had one of his better games in the playoffs, 34 points. Chet Holmgren follows that up with 21, and Caruso with 15 points off the bench. When you look at things for the Minnesota Timberwolves side, Anthony Edwards, 16 points on 5 for 13 shooting and 1 for 7 from 3. Jaden McDaniels for 22 points. Julius Randle, a 5-point stinker. Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Dante DiVincenzo, 20 points each. If only Dante DiVincenzo could do this when I bet on him. I'm kidding. I'm not doing that again. But, yeah, so obviously, even just reading the box score here for the Timberwolves side of things, you can see why and how they lost this game. There was a lot of instances in which, shots weren't falling, and players were just not playing the way they need to play. Obviously, if you looked at the game, Anthony Edwards was getting guarded, almost double-teamed pretty much for the whole game. Like, they weren't letting him get off. But for Randall to only have 5 points, for things like that to happen where the ball's, missing shots and turnovers are being a constant thing in the Timberwolves offense, it's not a good look. I said this to one of my friends, but I said I would much rather the Timberwolves put themselves in a position where, if anything, at the end of the game, they're either going for the win or, stopping this game from going to overtime than trying to tie the game with 0.3 seconds left. Even when you saw the ending of the game and how the game ended, there was no way, anything crazy was going to happen. That, the game was pretty much over. It was pretty much over. But for the Thunder, credit to them, because every time it looked like the Timberwolves were starting to make a run, the Thunder were there to quiet them down. Shai, again, showing why he is the best player in the league, why he is the most valuable player, having one of those games where he was hooping and doing his thing and helping his team win. But this Thunder team, man, I said that they had one more year. I said that the series was going to go to 7. I was wrong. I said that this team probably had one more year until they compete for a championship. I was wrong. I don't think anybody who I knew had Thunder going to the finals out west, except for two of my friends who are diehard Thunder fans, and I mean diehard Thunder fans. I've mentioned them so many times, but if the Thunder end up winning this game on Wednesday or whenever they play again, I'm going to have my man's Aiden come back on the episode because I definitely want to hear his take on just this Thunder playoff series and what it means to him. But in regards to the Thunder, man, again, no one I knew had them going far except for those two, and they're continuing to defy the odds. This team is young. This team is vibrant. This team has so much energy. And it's like an AAU team with friends. And the fact that they're winning on top of that just makes it 20 times better. And on top of that, they have a solid pick in the draft as well. They're going to be fine for a couple of years. I know I had this conversation a couple of weeks ago about whether or not, the Thunder will be frauds if they lose the series and how they have a solid regular season, but can it translate in the playoffs and everything like that. They're proving me wrong because I did not expect them to be able to carry that success they had in the regular season, just like the Cavs did, and carry it to the playoffs. We saw what happened with Cleveland. And at that point in time, I definitely thought that the Timberwolves were going to beat them. I definitely thought the Nuggets were going to take care of them and dispatch of them. So, the fact that they're able to do this, win games, and, bring this sort of energy back to Oklahoma City, which energy I haven't seen since Westbrook was there, is amazing. And the fact that they're about to get to their second finals, too, as well, their first finals since Kevin Durant, Harden, and Westbrook were on the same team together, is amazing as well. And it just goes to show that if you put pieces together and you just give them time to grow and everything like that, you're going to have a championship team at the end of that outcome. I remember when this team was the laughingstock of the league back in 2021. I remember when this team had Al Horford for a brief stint, when they had Pokuševski, when they had, I'm trying to think of some notable Thunder players during Terrence Ferguson. The Thunder used to be bad. Like it wasn't good. It was bad. It was bad. I remember when they used to have players where, they would go to the Thunder and literally just ball out because there was really nothing else for them to do. I mean, the Thunder were at one point in time, post Westbrook, the laughing stock of the league. Sam Presti was still doing his thing, but they weren't making the playoffs. They weren't winning games. And now look at them. They're one of the best teams in the West, one of the best players in the West. And that's just credit to the team and the organization for trusting them. And more specifically, I feel like none of this, honestly, you can even go back to the bubble. Because if you remember in the bubble, or before the bubble, Chris Paul was on the Thunder. Chris Paul took up that mantle of mentoring Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Which is why in that MVP ceremony that happened last week, Shai had so much to say about CP3. Because CP3 literally is responsible for Shai taking that next step. CP3 came to Oklahoma City Thunder, in which they had a small chance of making the playoffs at that. Went to the Thunder, and he literally gave Shai free game for that whole season. And just after that, you have not seen Shai's production drop after that. Shai has been hooping since then. And the crazy part is, he was a good player before, but Chris Paul really took him to the next step. And now look at him. He's MVP of the league. He's about to be a game removed from winning a finals. He has 5 more games to win a championship. And I'm not going to lie. The way the East is looking, the only team that I feel like that can give them really any bump is the Pacers. If the Thunder and the Knicks see each other in the finals, the Thunder is taking that series. If the Pacers and the Knicks see each other in the finals, we'll get to that in a sec. Because, we still got to talk about the Knicks Pacers series. But, again, for me, just seeing the Thunder and seeing them win and do well and stuff like that. Obviously, I'm not a fan, so I can't sit up here and be like, oh, this means the world. But basketball is a whole lot better when teams that you haven't seen really make noise in a minute start to make noise again. You remember that feeling when the Knicks were in the playoffs back in 2021? With Julius Randle and everything like that, and they went to the playoffs, and it seemed like the NBA had this whole, little rejuvenating back to old times sort of moment. It felt like old times. When a team that you haven't seen be good in so long starts to become good again, that's a great feeling. No matter who you support, it's a great feeling. It's a great feeling. Prime example, I'm a Dodgers fan. Always been a Dodgers fan. Love the Dodgers. The Phillies, the last time the Phillies were in the playoffs that I remember was, I believe, 2012. And that's like the wild card or something like that. Since getting Bryce Harper before 2020, was it 2? I believe it was 2022. Or was it 2023? I think it was 2022. Well, let me think. Yeah. I was right. But before 2022, the Phillies were, dare I say, big names, no sort of nothing. They weren't really doing much. When the Phillies won that pennant, when the Phillies made it to the playoffs, the whole baseball world was like, it feels good to see them back in there again. Seriously. And you saw what happened in that postseason run alone, but when a team that you haven't seen be good or be in a spot like a playoff in so long comes back and they start winning and they start doing stuff that they used to do all the time, it's a great feeling. So again, shout out to the Thunder again, because they continue to prove everybody wrong. Shout out to Shai. For the Wolves, looking at the Wolves, do I think that this is it for them if they don't close this out? No. Do I think that it's going to be a lot harder next year to do this? Absolutely. You don't just simply go to 2 conference finals and not win both. You get what I'm saying? You don't do that. I was talking about the other day, the idea of a window. You have a window to do something. You have a window to compete. You have a window to maximize your chances of winning a championship or making any sort of deep run. The Wolves have been fortunate enough to get to the conference finals twice. Twice now. Back-to-back seasons. Something they have not done I don't think they've done in their franchise history. The Wolves, regardless of what happens at this series right here, I don't know if they had that many more times to do that in the West, man. Because with the West, it's going to continue to get more competitive. The team's going to continue to evolve and get better. Teams that you didn't see in the playoffs this year probably going to be there next year. And just more star power and talent is going to be there as well. I just simply don't know if the Wolves are going to be a mainstay as far as a title contender. And I feel like, now that I'm thinking about it even more, I just feel like their best chance of winning the championship were these 2 seasons right here. These 2 years right here. If they didn't get it last year, this year, this was their chance. This was their opportunity to get it. Because it's yes, their team is built like this. Their team, Anthony Edwards, he's going to be in the league for a minute, but you don't really have that many more opportunities with some of the other players on the team. Mike Conley's about to probably get ready to leave in a few. There may be some, trades or anything in the works for the T-Wolves this offseason. So, really, it's a who knows sort of thing. But, for the Thunder, pressure's on them to win one more game. That's all they have to do is just close it out. If the Wolves win Game 5 and this series goes back to a Game 6 in Minnesota, that's going to be interesting because literally that could go either way. And then you're looking at a Game 7 in Oklahoma City for a trip to the finals on the line. If the Thunder blow this 3-1 lead, I would be surprised. I don't think it's going to be the case. I said Wolves in 7 at the beginning of the series. for the sake of the fact that I gotta stay on that side, I'm going to say that, but I will not be surprised if I get a headline that says Thunder have reached their first NBA Finals since 2012 as they dismantled Minnesota in 5 games. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys have the Thunder closing the series out, or you have the Wolves just pulling off a 2016 Cavs and coming back from a 3-1 deficit. It's almost happened before in the past, so I mean, who knows? But it's time for us to go to, in my eyes, the meat and potatoes of the conference finals thus far. On the one side, you've been having a straight drudging going on. You're having, straight belt, taking place with the Thunder and the Timberwolves. The other side, you have probably one of the most entertaining series that I've seen as far as the conference final series in a minute. And that is the Knicks and the Pacers, man. The Knicks were down 35-55 at one point in time in Sunday's game. Halliburton was showing off the Indiana jersey, getting the crowd hyped. It seemed like everything was going the way of the Pacers. The energy was electric, everything. And mind you, I said before the series went to Indiana, you simply don't lose in Indiana. Now, if I would have just told you that, you would have thought to yourself, the Pacers took a 3-0 lead. They won the game. There's no way that they were up by that much and they sold the game. Well, you would be just as shocked as I was when you found out that the Pacers lost that game. Karl-Anthony Towns probably had the second half of his life, led a 20-point comeback, and the Knicks took care of business and won a game that, frankly, the Pacers just let get away. We talk so much in the playoffs about momentum shifting and games that you simply cannot give up to other teams. And this Pacers team, still up 2-1 in the series, yes. But I said this before. You don't want to put yourself in a situation where you're looking back on the series and you're like, man, if we would have closed this game out, this would be a whole different series. Because I feel that if the Knicks somehow, someway tonight tie the series up and it goes back to the Garden, I mean, if the Knicks tie the series up and it goes back to the Garden, I'm not gonna lie. That's gonna be a little bit scary. That's gonna be a little bit scary. I felt like, watching the Pacers game the other night, that the Pacers definitely shot themselves out of that game. It seemed like they were firing on all cylinders in the first half. They were doing everything they needed to do, and then Karl-Anthony Towns happened, and they couldn't recover. Literally, that's what it looked like. It felt like a slow death. It literally felt like a slow death. It wasn't quick. It was tactical. It was slow. It was, just prolonging. Like, you knew it was coming. You didn't know when it was going to strike. That's what happened. I never seen Cat play like that in Minnesota. He had some spurts, but that was probably the best game I've ever seen Cat play. And Cat had a 60-point game literally last year. But this game right here was probably one of the best playoff games I've seen from Karl-Anthony Towns, who, when you're looking at this game tonight, you're asking yourself, not even asking yourself, you're basically demanding that he has one of those games again. If the Knicks have any chance of winning this series, they need another monster game like that from Cat. Brunson's going to continue to get his. Brunson is a mainstay in that Knicks offense. He's going to get his buckets, most definitely. He's going to get to the line. He's going to score. He's going to do that. It's Brunson. But if the Knicks get another game like that from Cat, they should be in good shape. If the Knicks get games from their supporting players, such as OG, who has been off and on in this playoff, such as Deuce McBride, such as Mikal Bridges, if they continue to show up, they'll be in good shape. And also, too, we talked about in this series about, rotations and coaching and everything like that. if Tom Thibodeau plays more than just 9 players, they should be fine as well. There was one point in time when I watched the game on Sunday that Tom Thibodeau had Landry Shamet playing the 1 instead of having Deuce McBride in, who has been playing in the playoffs, not just longer, but just like he's had experience playing in the playoffs last year, and he was also playing in series before that game on Sunday as well, which caused me to be confused because Landry Shamet is a shooter. Landry Shamet in no way, shape, or form is a point guard. Why is he in the game? So it's just those things. Obviously, when it comes to rotations, like Thibodeau, it's definitely been a thing about Thibodeau throughout his whole career where, he plays players until they run to the ground. He runs them to the ground, long minutes, they get tired, everything like that. That's been his thing. In order for them to win this game tonight, they just simply need to lock in. And for the Pacers, whatever they did last game before they choked that lead away, that's what they need to do again. That's the recipe. Halliburton needs to have one of those games. If not him, Siakam definitely needs to have one of those games. I feel like this series, if it's 3-1, the Pacers will win this series. Like, if this series goes 3-1 back to New York, this series is done. Like, it's over. But if this goes back to New York 2-2, the Knicks can most definitely feed off of that momentum and win these 2 games. I said earlier how the Pacers took, 2 games in the Garden. If the Knicks take 2 games at Bankers Life Fieldhouse, that's going to be huge. That's going to be huge, man. Obviously, it's going to be a good game, though. Obviously, it's probably been one of my most favorite series to watch in this whole postseason, but I'm hoping that the Pacers can feed off the crowd, feed off the fact that Halliburton's dad is back in the building, and just feed off that energy, and they just take a 3-1 lead. Me, personally, I want to see a good finals. I feel like the Pacers and the Thunder can be that good finals match that the league probably doesn't know they have on their hands, but it's going to be there. I feel like the Knicks and the Thunder, it's the Knicks. That's a storied franchise, but you can't tell me that a finals atmosphere in Indiana, a city that has been starting for a championship since Reggie Miller's been there, a city that is as loyal and energetic as a big market team, where basketball is literally, basketball is a huge thing in Indiana. Huge. Just like it is in New York. But it's huge in Indiana. Very huge. It's like a huge thing. It's a huge deal. So, you're telling me that an NBA Finals there wouldn't be live? It most definitely would. I would be excited to watch the Finals in Indiana for sure. But, we'll see, man. We'll see. It should be a good game tonight. I still have the Pacers winning the series. But hopefully it's just good. It's just good. Also, too, there was a conversation that, basically was talked about the other day. I forgot who said. I think it was Stephen A. Or not even Stephen A. But there was a conversation that came up just off of, we were talking about stars in the league and superstars and everything like that. And I basically, listened to some of my friends just respond to it and everything like that. But I wanted to get my 2 cents on it because, I just feel like, are we classifying Tyrese Halliburton as a superstar now based off of his postseason experience, based off of what he's been doing in his postseason? Because, we can all agree, this is wild, right? Halliburton is in his, say maybe his fourth or fifth year in the league. Halliburton has been on 2 teams already. Halliburton has taken a Pacers team and putting them on pedestals that the Pacers didn't even know they could get to. Halliburton literally is the city of Indiana. The last time the Pacers have gone to conference finals? Since Paul George was there. You know how long ago that was? That was like 2012, 2013. That was over 12 years ago. Halliburton just did this in I believe this is his second year in Indiana, or third year in Indiana, if I'm not mistaken. And he's been hooping. Halliburton is responsible for probably two of the biggest game winners in the playoffs, in this year's playoffs alone. Halliburton has taken care of teams such as the Bucks, teams such as the 1-seed Cavs, as well as now 2 games removed from taking care of a Knicks team that, true, unbelievable, almost everybody had the Knicks winning this series. Halliburton has been proven time and time again that he can show up in big moments, play his game, and continue to play the way that he knows how to. In no moment is too big for him. When is that enough to be able to classify Halliburton as a superstar in this league? And is it crazy to have Halliburton labeled as a superstar in this league? I don't know, man. I feel like he's there. I feel like he's arrived. I don't know what else he has to do. I don't know what else he has to do to be a superstar in this league. Because there's players who have not won a ring yet who is classified as superstars in the league. Embiid is a superstar in the league. He hasn't won a ring yet. Ja is a superstar in the league. Like, I just... I just simply feel that the way that he's been hooping this postseason, the way that he's continuing to show up for his team and literally carry the Pacers, that makes him a superstar in the league. I feel like that has to mean something. And on top of that too, we talk about the Knicks, but the fact that he's been able to take the Pacers to back-to-back conference finals as well, that has to do something. That has to make him some sort of superstar. But let me know your thoughts, man. I feel like Halliburton's arrived. I feel like Halliburton can be put in that category. And I'm telling you right now, if the Pacers somehow, some way find a way to win a championship this year, if they somehow find a way to hoist that Larry O'Brien at the end of the season, the amount of uncomfortable conversations people are about to be having about Tyrese Halliburton is absolutely insane. Because then you're gonna look at Halliburton and his trajectory, and you're gonna be like, well, his trajectory is low-key better than his trajectory. He's low-key a better player than this player. So, I mean, we'll see. Because here's my thing here. If you don't say Halliburton's a superstar, would you have that same energy for Anthony Edwards? I feel like you can be a superstar without winning a championship. I feel like a championship adds more to it, but I feel like if you are a player in the league that has, put it in lamest terms, has arrived, if you're a player in the league who has contributed deeply to your team's success, has caused for your fan base to basically worship the ground you step on, every time you step into an arena, people people are expecting you to go off. Not your teammates, but expecting you to play well, play your game. That makes you a superstar in the league. When losing and winning solely reflects on your play, that makes you a superstar in this league. Trying to think of an example here. Prime example. This is what I got. Prime example. John Wall, right? When John Wall got drafted to the Wizards, everybody was hyped. DC, more specifically, everybody was excited when John Wall got drafted. When John Wall made his debut doing the Dougie and everything, everybody was hyped. When John Wall turned the whole Wizards franchise on his head and the Wizards started winning games and making the playoffs and having, postseason runs and stuff like that, that's what made John Wall a superstar in this league. John Wall at one point in time was one of the most premier point guards in the league before he got injured. John Wall was a bona fide superstar in the league. John Wall was a walking 20 and 11 every night. And he played defense. You can't go up to any kid or any person 21 or older. Or, I'll say maybe 18 or older and ask them in DC and be like, yo, you know who John Wall is? They'll look at you like, John Wall. Man. And imagine trying to go up to somebody 21 and older and ask them who John Wall is. They're going to know because of how much John Wall impacted the DMV, how much John Wall impacted DC, how much winning in the Wizards changed because of John Wall. You can do the same argument with Gilbert Arenas. You can do that same argument with Nationals legend Ryan Zimmerman. You can do that same argument even JD5. I mean, would you not just based off his success? Winning and losing are synonymous with each other. Right? But in my eyes, I feel that being a superstar in a set league, being a superstar on a set organization, when you have that mantle, you are expected to play well. People are making scouting reports for you. People are expecting you to play at the level that you're supposed to play at. That's what makes you a superstar in this league. Siakam had 40 the other night. No way, shape, or form am I saying that he's a superstar. Because winning and losing does not fall on Pascal Siakam. That falls on Halliburton's play. Siakam is a supporting cast member, but at the end of the day, that's Halliburton. If Obi Toppin tonight goes for 60 points, no one's going to sit up here and be like, oh, man, Obi's proving why he's one of the best in this league. No. They're going to say, Obi had a surprising 60 points tonight. No one can stop him. It was not a scouting report for him to do that. No offense. But if Halliburton has 60 tonight, everybody's going to be like, Halliburton has been just continue to prove in this postseason why he's a superstar in this league and he's been doing all this and all that. And I feel like it's time that people start to respect him. Because I'm not going to lie. Same way I had the Thunder getting gone in the second round, I expected the Pacers to not even be this far in the playoffs. I most definitely thought the Cavs were going to make the conference finals. They didn't. And we know why. Because Halliburton has been doing what he's been doing to the Knicks for the whole postseason. And his postseason run alone this year has been phenomenal. And I feel like that should translate to how we talk about him as far as star and superstar talks. I feel like just based off his series alone, he's transformed himself into a superstar in this league. That's just me. But again, let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you guys think that Tyrese Halliburton is only a star in this league, or is he a superstar? Is it okay for him to get that title now? So let me know. As far as the series, though, it's definitely going to be interesting. It's definitely going to be, good games tonight. I'm excited for it. I still got the Pacers winning the series, but, we'll see how the games go tonight. And we'll do a recap of that, Wednesday, talk about that, especially with some guests as well. But moving on, man, Has Luka gotten his magic back? There was a photo over the weekend that leaked that showed Luka Doncic losing, weight loss. He looked a lot thinner, lost a lot of weight since the last time we saw him in the playoffs. As, there was a lot of criticism, especially throughout Luka's career, about him not being in game shape, him, people calling him Hookah Doncic and, Henny Luka and all this other stuff, and, not being in championship shape. But, just seeing him and the photo of the weekend looked like he was at an event or something like that. If Luka can stay in that, obviously he's going to, when he gets back into the season, ramps up, obviously he's going to, put weight back on. But if Luka can somehow stay at that weight and just try to get his explosiveness back that he had his rookie year in the league, because if you watch Luka at the beginning of his career in Dallas versus watching him now, obviously the scoring and stuff is going to be the same. But if you look at just his bounce alone, Luka used to get up. For somebody who was like that, he used to get up. Now he's doing little rim grazer stuff like that, cool, whatever. But Luka used to get up. But as he put on more weight, he lost that explosiveness. If Luka could somehow get to a fraction of what he was in Dallas, especially with, Bron and everything like that, and hopefully having a center or another all-star next year on the team as well, that's a championship. Many of Luka's gripes throughout his career has been with weight, with defense, with just, how he foul-based and everything like that. He can control literally two of those things this offseason alone. And that's defense, that's becoming a better defender, and just making sure that he's taking care of his weight. Look, I want Bron to get another title. Most definitely I do. But if Luka can take care of his weight and just continue to stay at the way that he's at, he's going to be even scarier next year for the Lakers. It's going to be even scarier next year. Mind you, just want to put this out there. The Lakers, since they had Luka, won 50 games. Yes, they lost in the second round to Minnesota. Or no, I'm tripping. They lost in the first round, actually. I'm tripping. My bad. Yes, they lost in the first round to Minnesota. That was with half a season of Luka. A full season could be a different thing. Who knows? We'll see. And I know we talked about this earlier, but I want to go back to the Timberwolves Thunder real quick and talk about Anthony Edwards in particular, man. Anthony Edwards this postseason has been deemed the legend killer. Taking care of Bron in the first round, taking care of Steph. Is it possible for Anthony Edwards to extend the series? Yes. Anthony Edwards has, since his arrival, has been one of the most talked about, most eager, most hungry players I've seen in the league in a minute. Every season he continues to get better. Every season he continues to show why he's one of the best in the league. And every season he puts the Timberwolves on the map. Every season he's been in the league. If Anthony Edwards can somehow, someway find a way to force a Game 7 and they go to the finals off of this, We talked about Halliburton in comfortable conversations. This is nuts, right? This would be crazy. I think he's the person for the job. I think he can do it. It's just one of those things where it's like his supporting cast is really going to have to show up. I said this earlier in today's episode, but the supporting cast is literally going to have to play the game of their life. Randall, looking at you. Alexander Walker, looking at you. McDaniels, looking at you. Everybody's going to have to play a role. Because Ant simply cannot do it by himself. People are expecting Ant to go off. They're trying to minimize that. But when they start to have other people play and say, like, look, if Ant gets his 20-25, that's fine. Let's make sure they don't get over this amount. You know, they need to show up. They need to show up. But last and not least, before this episode ends, man, we're going to talk about something NFL. Obviously, I believe, I'm not mistaken, pretty sure training camp is going on right now, OTAs. But with OTAs and everything happening, Aaron Rodgers is still not signed with the team yet. You know, obviously, you know, he was on the Jets last year. You saw how that turned out. Devontae Adams is on the Rams now. Aaron Rodgers is still not signed with the team yet. Many people were saying that he possibly would go to Pittsburgh. Many people were saying that Rodgers is, I don't know if he's retiring. I don't know what's going on. Now there's reports coming out about the possibility of Kirk Cousins being a backup plan to go to the Steelers. I honestly don't know what's happening. I honestly don't know what to make of all this. All I'm saying is this. Me personally, I feel like Aaron Rodgers should just hang it up. I'm not going to lie to you. Aaron Rodgers is 41 years old. Aaron Rodgers he's had a solid career. I feel like adding a 41-year-old quarterback to a team like that just moved on from Russell Wilson and everything last year, that's the wrong direction to go into. And I don't think that's going to contribute to much of anything. I feel like you don't sign a 41-year-old after passing up on Shador in the draft. Yeah, they got Will Howard, but it's like, you don't do that. The fan base is already looking at you funny for how you did George Pickens. And look, if you guys wanted to sign Aaron Rodgers when George Pickens was still a Pittsburgh Steeler, that's totally fine. People would have been excited about that. But having that signing happen with George Pickens gone, I don't even know what you guys' receiver room is looking like right now. Outside of I don't even know. I don't even know. But I do not think signing a 41-year-old is the answer to your problems. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Especially if it's a 41-year-old who, you saw the numbers last season. You saw how you played last season. Even with the Jets getting any and everything for Aaron Rodgers to make sure that he plays at the level that he needs to play at to win games for them, he still wasn't able to perform. So, if I'm Mike Tomlin, if I'm the Steelers, I don't know how I'm feeling about this. I mean, obviously, I'm giving my 2 cents, but any Steelers fans, if you guys want to tell me, like, oh, if you guys think it's a good signing, if you guys think that Aaron Rodgers coming to Pittsburgh will save you guys' struggles, what do you guys think? I mean, let me know. Let me know. I could be missing something here. But, we'll see. It's one of those things where it's like, if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I hope it doesn't happen because I like, seriously, just him wearing a Steelers uniform, it just sounds disgusting to me. Not because it's just a Steelers, but it's like, come on, man. Like, honestly, I felt that he could have did that 1 and 2 year stint in New York, and then after that could have hung it up and just been like, I'm done. Thank you guys for, but I'm deciding to step away from football. I feel like that's the better way to go out than to continue trying to play yourself. and thinking that you can go back to the old Aaron Rodgers and revitalize your career. I think it's done. I feel like he's going to sign for them, take a good amount of money, and it's going to mess up the Steelers for years to come because he's not going to play up to that contract. We've seen this happen before with the Jets. We've seen his numbers. I just think it's going to be the same way again with Pittsburgh. People were saying that, I said the thing about Kirk Cousins. I mean, I would much rather sign Kirk Cousins than sign Rodgers, honestly. Most importantly, Kirk Cousins is younger. You at least know what you're getting with Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins will probably give you a couple of weeks of, solid, is he the top 5 quarterback in the AFC? Sort of conversations. And then after that, after week 6 or something like that, you're going to be like, oh, never mind. We're not worried about that. And then, obviously, you look at October itself, the number, what Kirk Cousins does in October. That's why it's called Kirktober. But I don't know. Me having a Kirk Cousins taking snaps instead of me having a 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers taking snaps, I'm taking the Kirk Cousins one every single time. I don't care what Rodgers has done in the past. I'm taking the guy who is younger, who I feel like I get more mileage out of, and honestly, I just feel like it's in better shape than Aaron Rodgers. But again, let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you're a Steelers fan. How would you guys move? Everything like that. I'm looking forward to hearing what you guys say. But that's going to do it with this episode, man. This was one of the shorter ones. But again, thank you guys again for tuning in. YB Pod here. Dinari here. Again, this episode is sponsored by Legacy Jersey Shops. One-stop shop for every soccer jersey. If you guys want a nice, authentic soccer jersey at an affordable price, make sure you guys hit up Legacy Jersey Shop. Tell them that Dinari sent you. YBPod.com. Everything Young Bulls podcast all in one place. We'll get you guys another episode on Wednesday. Hopefully we're going to have some guests this week. We will see. But thank you guys again for tuning in. It's been Dinari. Catch you guys on the next one. Peace.